Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. So here we are for part 2 of Flight Attendant Q&A. I asked everyone that subscribed to my channel to go ahead and send me questions and I will answer them. So here we are for part 2. Let's get into it. Also, if you see me looking down, I'm just reading the questions that you guys have. First question we have, what made you want to become a flight attendant? Okay, so basically, when I previously worked before being a flight attendant, I was traveling a lot and I've always made traveling a priority. When it came to work, anytime I put in a vacation request or time off, my coworkers, my supervisor, everyone knew that when it comes to me, I'm not requesting. I'm telling you because I'm going, if you approve it or not. Like, you cannot hold anything above my head. You can't say, oh, well, I'm gonna fire you, because with my logic, I'm just not someone who is like fearful of getting fired, because just as the saying, you're easily replaced, you can get replaced the next day. In the same breath, people are always hiring. So you can always get a new job at any moment, any day. So money is not going to tie me down to a job or stability. I just feel like money is everywhere. Money flows to me effortlessly. So that's pretty much my logic. And I just came to the conclusion, like, it would be great if I could get paid to travel, or my job consisted of me already traveling. And then I had a friend who like graduated college. She was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be a flight attendant for Delta. And I'm like, flight attendant? I think I'm gonna be a flight attendant. After that, got online, looked up who's hiring, and started applying within like 2 weeks of her telling me. And then boom, got my CGO, and now I'm here, a flight attendant. All right, next question. What was your best flight? Honestly, any flight that has like 40 people or less is a good flight, because I just don't like a full flight, because that means a lot of work, and I don't like to do a lot of work. So light flights, that means it's always going to be a good flight. And honestly, I love working on flights with well-mannered children. Well-mannered in a sense of the children who have their own freedom to speak and order their drinks, or ask me if they can get pretzels or cookies. I just love to see that. I love to see children on board reading and just, speaking to their siblings and just not being rowdy. Like, I love to see children be good. That makes a good flight. Next question, is training hard? I don't think training is hard. Now, when I was in training, on a scale of 1 to 10, I would say we're sitting at, during training, it was like 7, some days 8. But now that I'm out of training and it's all over, I can look back and say 4 and 5 on the really hard days, but it's not going over 5. But of course, I've already been through it. But when I was in it, I was like, oh my God, this is, but it was never a 10. Like a 10, no, I wouldn't say that. Okay, next question, the highest tip that you ever received. The highest tip I've ever received was $20. And that was really because the person who gave me the 20, like, didn't have any change. Like, he only had 20s and 100s. So he gave me the 20. He was like, just keep it. So I was like, okay. So that's probably the highest tip. How many places do you go in a week? So if I were to have a 4-day trip, that means I would at least be going to 3 different places. And then in terms of a day, sometimes I'll have 3 flights. So that means I'll go from like DFW, which is Dallas, go to Dallas, to Denver, come back to Dallas, and then go to LA. So that'll be my 3. Spend a night in LA, come back to Dallas, go to Phoenix, and then go to Chicago. Spend a night in Chicago. So I feel like a total of definitely 3 places in overnights, and then maybe 6 to 9 in terms of like having a 4-day and flying to different places during the day. All right, next question. How long were you working before you could make a comfortable living? I'm worried that in the beginning I'll be kind of broke. Well, I've been working this job for a total of 1 year and 8 months. So I will keep you posted when I'm living a comfortable living. Basically, like, girl, a year and 8 months, and I'm wondering too, because do not work this job trying to make a lot of money. No, because that's definitely not what it's given, okay? And I will make a video explaining my checks more in detail. So please stay tuned for that. Next question, any essentials you suggest bringing to training or anything you suggest is unnecessary to bring? Don't waste your time bringing any party clothes, any club clothes, any going out clothes, because you're not going anywhere. I would say maybe 2 non-uniform clothes, and then uniform clothes, I would say just bring like 3, and like 3 sets, like 3 shirts, maybe 2 to 3 bottoms, and just rotate them, because half the time you're not gonna be going anywhere anyway. You want to basically pack light because you will be bringing home uniforms once you're done with training. So you wanna leave room for actual uniforms. Also, if you're into smoothies, bring a small like NutriBullet or like handy smoothie maker. Also bring containers for food in case you go out to eat or you go to the grocery store, you have containers to put it in, and then you can put it in your refrigerator in your room. I would also bring Tide Pods to wash your clothes, but don't bring the whole bag like I did. I don't know why I brought a whole bag. Just bring like 3 or 4 to wash. Yeah, those are some of the things that I feel like would be necessary to bring. Next question, has anyone ever been racist to you? Honestly, I don't think so. However, there was one person that I've had that just a weird vibe. You just know when the energy is just off with someone. So the energy was weird. I was taking care of first class. He was in first class. And I remember like him boarding, he didn't speak. He just looked like past me as if I wasn't even there. And I was like, okay, weird. Of course, I'm not thinking nothing of it. I'm just like, okay, maybe he was just in his head thinking about something else, whatever. I definitely don't take things personal. I'm like, it's whatever. These are people that I'm not gonna see again, potentially, so I'm not really pressed about whether they said hey or not. So while I was doing service, he was awake, and then when I got to him, or like one person before him, he like closes his eyes as if he was asleep. So of course I'm not gonna wake him up, but I was like, why did he close his eyes when he was just up like 2 seconds ago? And then later on in the flight, when I was doing a trash run, I saw that he reached out to the other flight attendant and basically asked her for like a drink and food and stuff. So I guess he just didn't want to speak to me or have anything to do with me, but in my eyes, that means no service. So I'm fine with no service. I don't know if he felt like he was doing something because he wasn't speaking to me, but in my eyes, that meant no service, which I love not doing work. So I wasn't tripping, but I did notice that, how he went out of his way to speak to the other flight attendant and not me. That's like the closest thing I can say that was like possibly him being racist. I don't know. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. Next question, have you had any celebrities on board? Okay, quick story time. This was back like early in the pandemic when we had to wear a mask and things like that. This guy gets on the plane, he's in first class, and it's just a regular flight. Like, I'm thinking nothing of it. However, this guy, he has his mask on, but he keeps looking around. Like, it's like you could tell he was just like, either he thinks somebody is watching him or he's just super nervous. So I saw his eyes just kind of like he's making eye contact, but then he keeps looking away. So that's what made it weird, right? And I ended up looking at the manifest to see his name, because I'm like, this guy's being weird. Let me just look at his name. And I'll tell you his name in a second, but I look at his name and his name looks familiar. However, I'm like, I don't know who this is. But when I'm reading it, I'm like, I keep hearing the like NFL, like dun 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 dun. I keep hearing that noise in the background when I read his name, right? Because my dad, he watches football. So it's like that name is familiar. And I'm like, I think it's associated with football. It has to be, because that's what comes to mind, that music. So I'm looking at this guy and I'm just like, I don't know if he is a football player or if he's like one of the like football commentators, like, you know, those people who just talk about the games. And I was like, maybe he's that person. So, because he had on a suit. Yeah, he had on a suit. And I was like, in my head, I'm thinking, I think a football player would be taking a private jet. So he has to be like a commentator or something else. So the flight was from Denver to New Orleans. I remember I asked him, did he want anything? I think he just wanted water. Like, he was very like quiet and to himself pretty much, but you could tell he was nervous. I left him alone. All right, guys, so we get off the flight and I look his name up online and to see who he is. And it's Peyton Manning. And so I told my dad, like, oh, Peyton Manning was on my flight. And he was like, oh my God, like, wow. Like, what is he doing on a commercial flight? But honestly, during the time when we were wearing masks, it was a great time to fly. You could be a celebrity and just get on the plane and people may not even know who you are. The only reason that I even took a look at the manifest to see who he was is because he was looking nervous. So if he was more relaxed, I wouldn't even have thought twice to know that that was a celebrity. I do feel like during the pandemic, there were a lot of celebrities flying, you know, undercover with a mask, because all you need is a mask, and then you can put on a wig, you can, you know, dress down. So I definitely think there were a lot of celebrities flying during that time, you know, saving their coins, you know, doing whatever they need to do to get from point A to point B. I also want to add this, that aside from celebrities, I just feel like in Denver, I've actually flown with a lot of wealthy people in general who they probably do have a private jet or do have access to a private jet, but it's just, why not just fly commercial, because it's cheaper and it, like, you know, cost efficient, and nobody knows who you are. So I definitely feel like there were a lot of wealthy people. When I would just have little talks with some of my people in first class, even in main cabin, they would tell me they're CEOs of like different companies, or they are, you know, VPs of different companies, or they own this, or they own that. So I will say that you definitely never know who you are serving. So definitely take the opportunity to speak to your passengers, because it's an opportunity to network. Next question, can you be a flight attendant in your 50s? Yes, the oldest flight attendant I know is like 54. Honestly, I believe it's more about you being in good health, being able to pass all those requirements, because there will be a drug test, a height test. There are plenty of checks and balances that you have to do before training. So if you clear all of those, then you're good to go. How do you become a flight attendant? So basically you apply online. You go on the airline page of your choice. You're gonna go scroll down to the bottom, look at careers, go from careers. They should have a flight attendant section, and then you just apply. I will say that you definitely want to do your research. It's good to know, for starters, the difference between regional airlines and mainline airlines. Figure out which one you'd want to do and then go from there. I work for a regional, of course, if you guys didn't know that, but I do work for a regional airline. But definitely do your research. Look at the different companies that you are considering applying for. Look online and see what other people are saying about them. Do research on the CEO. Look at the mission statement. What are their core values? See if these things actually align with your personal core values, and definitely go from there when making your decision. Also, be sure that when you do go into your interview, whether it's a face-to-face, group interview, or a one-on-one, you want to be just personable and show your personality. From the moment that you get out of your car, it's go time, because number one, you just don't know who's who. The person who's holding the door open, giving you the flyer or the paperwork, also works for the company, and they are also observing you as well. So just make sure you're showcasing yourself and your personality to everyone. Quick story time. There was a time when I had an event to go to, and I remember I was like getting out the car, I went to the elevator. Now, whenever I go in the elevator, if I'm by myself, I always like hurry up and close the door, because I just don't want to be in there with other people. There was someone walking up to the elevator, so they were like, oh, can you hold it open? And so I held it open this time. And I held it open, and then basically me and this lady, we had quick small talk, and I was asking her, oh, I'm going to this event. Do you know what floor? And she's like, oh, I'm going to the same place. So when we get to the floor, I've never been there. She's already like a member of the event. And basically to even go there, I thought it was like a walk-in, but that day you had to like pay like $100. The lady that I met in the elevator, she was actually one of the directors of the company, and she was just like, oh, this lady right here, she's with me. So they waived my fee because I was with her. And yeah, I was able to get in and network and stuff like that. But I say all that to say that, what if I just closed the elevator on her? What if I didn't speak to her when I was in the elevator? Which is why I say, as soon as you get out your car, network, start speaking, be friendly, show your personality, because just those, 5 minutes before is like what literally got me into the door of the event that I was going to. Also, I also came to the event about 15 minutes early. So definitely arrive early, because I am a person that would probably come maybe 5 minutes early, but I wanted to give myself enough time to like introduce myself to people. In that case, I was able to rub elbows with the right person. So definitely put your best foot forward from the time you step out your car to the time you leave. Okay, next question. Do you ever get sick from flying a lot? No, I don't necessarily get sick. I feel like I've adjusted pretty well. Personally, my eating habits was the main factor that was affecting how I felt when I was flying. So I just had to remove eating fried food when I have to work, and that really helped, on top of drinking more water. And those were the two major things that I changed. Now, when I have a full flight, I will put my mask on, because that's a lot of different people in a very small space, and I don't know where everyone has been, who got vaccinated, who didn't. I don't have time for that, so I just put my mask on. Now, if you're talking about in terms of motion sickness, yeah, definitely for me, it's about what I'm eating, and if I'm hydrated, that's gonna affect whether I feel sick or not. So I always make sure I've at least had a liter of water before I get to work, and I've had a nice, healthy, hearty, carb heavy meal before I get to work. Okay, and the last question I'm gonna answer is gonna be, have you had any rude passengers? I wouldn't say that I've had any rude passengers. Now, I have had passengers who are frustrated, which I'm someone that can understand their perspective. I always try to put myself in someone else's shoes before I just escalate to their same level. I don't like it to get to a point where I'm arguing with someone else. So I definitely try to take the time to put myself in their shoes and see their perspective. Majority of the time, I will have frustrated passengers who are upset that they missed their connection, and they may have had a connection to, you know, go to Chicago, to go to Paris, and you know they have a wedding to go to, or you know they're missing a funeral, or they're missing a birth, or they're missing a doctor's appointment, or they have to get back to work. So it's more than just a vacation for some people. Some people have commitments that they have to make, and it's really important that they get there on time. So I definitely always try to keep my cool when I'm on board and not get upset with passengers who are also upset. You know, definitely do my best to like de-escalate the situation and let them know that the company is working on the back end to reschedule their flight. We apologize for the inconvenience. Would you like any, you know, water, juice, snacks in the meantime? Because that's really all I can do. Yeah, so that's like the best advice I can give when it comes to dealing with frustrated passengers. Like, it's not much we can do, but definitely just keep your cool. Emphasize that you definitely understand where they're coming from, and you do apologize for the inconvenience, and you'll keep them posted as you gather more information on terms of what is the status of the flight that you're on and when it's getting to the gate and all that good stuff. So those are going to be all of the questions that I got from you guys. If you have more, let me know in the comments. I'll be happy to answer more. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.